Hey there. Welcome to this week's real-time career pivot live show that's live. Um, it's Monday, 8 a.m. here in the Pacific time zone. uh, Finding out it's a little tough to get ready for something like this first thing in the morning. But today it's going to be good. It's just going to be me today. Um, Nathan got caught up with something at the last minute at work. Um, so he might join later. But today we were going to talk about bad bosses and their impacts to your career, why a lot of people want to pivot is probably because of a bad boss. And we'll share some stories um, from our experience in having bad bosses. So today, want to kind of stay on that thread, but want to sorry if you heard that those were tables or chairs moving upstairs. My kids are eating breakfast. What's up, AJ? Welcome. Thanks for joining. AJ's joining us on LinkedIn. I'm also live on Facebook and YouTube through the Winding Road. That's what Nathan and I have decided to tie this to, Winding Road Careers. Want to stay on the same thread, but really instead of talking about bad bosses, I want to talk about good bosses, good leadership. What does good leadership look like in the 21st century right now? And I've been a leader. I was a director of marketing, managed a team of 8 or so people remotely. I was remote the whole time. That was interesting in doing that as my first role in a leadership position. But excuse me, when I got that role, I really reflected back on the bad bosses I've had, the bad managers I've had, and the good ones. And I wanted to learn from the bad ones, at least how it affected me, and also take what I learned from the good managers that I had and kind of piece it together and become kind of an extension of those. And then I've also just watched people, especially even once I became a leader, I became more aware of other leaders and their styles and how they worked. And I'm getting ready to write an article on this that should hit sometime this week. There's 4 things that I think good leaders do well. They teach and let go. They invest in their people. They double down on strengths, and they don't use personality tests to exclude. And let me jump into each one of those a little bit further. So they teach and let go. What does that mean? The best leaders are teachers. They know that growth is part of everyone's career trajectory. You're not going to, no matter how good someone is, when you hire them, there's always room for them to become better. There's always things they don't know, maybe particularly about your industry, your market, your company. So good leaders take the time to teach and then let go. What that means is they trust the people they hire, and they also understand that mistakes will be made. It's part of the learning process, and you have to let go. You have to resist, especially if you've been an individual contributor for so long. You have to resist that desire to want to jump in and do it for them. I mean, I'm finding that with my kids right now. It's really hard to be patient and to stand by and know, hey, they're not going down the right path with how they're doing this or approaching it. You got to let them go. You got to let them explore. Sorry. And not really figure it out, but and also who knows if the way you think it should be done is the right way. Who's to say that they might go a different path and you're like, oh, no, don't do that. But if you would just let it go, maybe they find a better way to do it and they teach you. That's always an option as well. So I think first and foremost, the best leaders today are teachers, and they teach and they trust. I guess maybe I should say teach and trust. Maybe I'll update my outline here. The next thing I mentioned was they invest. And well, one other thing on trust. Trust also involves not just trust in expecting someone to do it and be able to accomplish whatever they're setting out to accomplish. Trust also means letting them go out into the world, be on LinkedIn, network with people, engage with people, trust that they can go to a conference. Because I've actually worked for people before who were afraid for their employees or top employees to be on LinkedIn or to go to a conference because they didn't want them to be found out. They didn't want other people to know how good they were because they might take them, or they might try to hire them and then lead that employee to wanting more money. I mean, God forbid. What's the alternative? What's the alternative to making your employees better? That they don't get better, that they are average to below average, they're employees that nobody else wants. To me, that's not how I like to build a team. And in fact, one of the best leaders I've ever worked for told me that he actually is happy when people on his team get offers from other companies. That means he's done something right as a leader. He's helped them get better to a point that other people noticed. And at the time I heard that, I was shocked because, most of my career I've been surrounded by people who took the other approach of, we don't want them to be found out. We don't want people to take other jobs. We want people to stick around forever. Well, guess what? Sticking around forever doesn't happen. So if you can have that person for 3 years, maybe 5, wouldn't you want them to get as good as they could at what they do in that amount of time? And what if you developed a reputation as an employer and as a leader for developing people, making people better? Do you think that some people might come and work for you for less because they know that that's their investment in their career, taking less money to become better, to work for you and your company? So I think it's important to just change the way we look at things. And I think a lot of people have changed the way they look at tenure, and they understand people aren't coming and spending 20 years at a company. Those days are long, long gone. The second thing is they invest. And this kind of goes back to wanting to help that person or those people on your team become as good as they possibly can within that amount of time that you have them. And so they invest in learning opportunities, conferences, workshops, books. I used to buy books for my team all the time. In fact, we started an office library. And if you can see my shirt, I got 99 problems, but a book ain't one. I'm actually running for city council because some people on our city council wanted to take control of our library board and ban books, and I'm not about that. So now I'm in the midst of that. But we started our own office library where we started to build up books that I felt and the team felt were applicable to what we are doing as a team, as a marketing team. And then people could check them out, take them home, read them, bring them back, talk about what they read, what they got out of it. And so investing in your employees is critical. And you can't really look at it as a long-term return on your investment. You can, but maybe not with that employee. You can look at it as a long-term investment of your reputation as an employer for developing people and helping people get better at what they do. But you can also think of it as a short-term investment, that you're not spending money to train someone to become better to leave. You're spending money to train someone to become better so they're happier, so they're better at what they do while they work for you. That's it. That's all you have to think about. And stop being so afraid of losing that person and spending money on that person for them to leave, that you're training people for other people. That's ludicrous. If you want to attract people, give them opportunity, give them a place that they enjoy working, um, and allow them to grow, and you'll find great people that way. The other thing is they double down on strengths instead of trying to focus on improving people's weaknesses. When I became the director of marketing at the company that I worked for prior to going out on my own, I inherited about 7 or 8 people who were kind of doing a little bit of everything. Nobody really had a set role. And I really wanted to find out, how can I put them in an opportunity? How can I put them in a position to succeed? What are their strengths? How can I figure out what parts and aspects of marketing would cater to their strengths, instead of trying to put somebody in a round peg in a square hole, or square peg in a round hole, whatever it is. So I had everyone take the strength finders, and then we actually went through everyone's together as a team so we could better understand each other. And then that also allowed me to look at their strengths and figure out where they would be at their best, and position them in that way. But I think so many times leaders find weaknesses, and that's what they highlight, and that's where they focus. And you're only going to get marginal improvement on a weakness. Whereas if you double down on a strength, you're going to get so much more out of that person. And they're going to be happier. I mean, would you like to go to work every day where all you did was try to get better at what you're not good at versus doing what you're good at? So I double down on strengths. And then one thing in the last several years that I've seen a lot of companies use are personality tests. And they use personality tests to exclude. And they figure out, oh, well, our best performers have been this type of personality, so that's all we're going to hire. And that's a bad thing. I think it's okay to do a personality test after, and a strengths test after, to understand how you can maximize their personality and their strengths and put them in a position to succeed. When you use personality tests to exclude, you are right out of the gate decreasing your diversity of thought within your company. And to me, diversity of thought is one of the strongest competitive advantages you could have as a company. That's where ideas come from. If you don't have that, you get groupthink. You really get one person who might be a strong personality, who kind of just dictates everything, and everyone else just kind of follows, or is groupthink, and they all, have the same personalities, and maybe they have the same personalities and then they clash because those personalities don't do well working with other people. And so I think relying on personality tests in the interviewing stage is a problem. It's not a good thing. And so I think, at the end of the day, invest in your people, be a teacher, and have trust in your people, and feel good about people that you've helped grow, who then have other competitors coming to try to hire them. That's a great thing. That means you've done something right. That means they've done something right. And keep doing that. So I didn't expect to blaze through that in 15 minutes, but I did. Nathan might pop on. I don't know. I'll have to check and see if he's messaged me lately. He just messaged me and said, when I messaged him about the topic, he said enough to fill up a couple of shows on that topic. Well, I tapped out at 15 minutes. Any questions out there about anything, anything that you'd like to bring up for anyone that's watching, that you'd like me to maybe go a little deeper on? Maybe I could hit something that I didn't. Just throw it in the chat, in the comments section, and I will go from there. But if not, I'll give people about 30 seconds to a minute or so. And if not, we'll end it early. But yeah, hopefully that's helped. At some point I'll probably end up back in a leadership role. Right now I'm just a solo consultant and I work with some contractors from time to time. But if I grow my company, I will have to lead people again. If I pivot and join another company, it will likely be in a leadership position again. So this is something I still think a lot about, even though I'm not in that kind of role right now. I know that at some point I probably will be if I want to grow my business or pivot back to working for someone else. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. So I'm going to wrap it up. It is a Monday. They're always busy, but thank you for everyone who popped in and joined. Really appreciate it, and hope to see you next Monday where we'll talk about bad bosses.